It's a tough choice thrown at players with each new Pokémon game, which Pocket Monster will be the first to join you on this new adventure. It's not an easy decision, for most of us at least, so we've gone through each generation's starters and picked the best of the bunch. Here are the best starter Pokémon from every generation. Number 10. Hisui Region, Oshawott. While the Hisui region of Pokémon Legends Arceus didn't necessarily debut in its own region and technically takes place in an ancient Sinnoh, it's vastly different from the previous iterations of this locale and deserves its own spot on the list. Of the three regional variants, Oshawott, which evolves into the majestic Hisuian Samurott, is the best choice. This Pokémon gains a dark typing alongside its normal water type, giving it a great list of resistances and advantages over many of the noble Pokémon players will face in the first half of the game. Number 9. Paldea Region, Quaxly. All three of the starters in Pokémon Scarlet and Violet are viable, but there is a clear winner when it comes to the best choice. Quaxly has a great move pool and can set players up for an easy time in the early game, but the Pokémon really shines when it reaches its final evolution. The final evolution adopts the fighting type, and with the water fighting combo, the Pokémon will have a whopping 7 strengths. Pairing these strengths with some powerful moves, and you've got a Pokémon that can be taken all the way to the Elite Four with ease. Number 8. Galar Region, Scorbunny. Scorbunny is undeniably the best choice for Galar starter Pokémon. This fire-type bunny has a fantastic speed and attack stat, and can pack a real punch in combat. Its effectiveness against gym leaders in Pokémon Sword and Shield is hit and miss, but the other starters aren't much better in that aspect either. Sobble puts up some real competition here, and Grookey can be a big help during the early portion of the game, but Scorbunny is the best long-term choice. Number 7. Alola Region, Popplio. When it comes to the best starter in Generation 7's Alola region, Popplio holds an unarguable lead on the other two starters. Popplio is a great starter that thankfully doesn't turn into an unsettling humanoid creature like the other two. In actual practice, Popplio, and specifically its final evolution, Primarina, has a great set of resistances and very few weaknesses. This is extremely handy in battle and gives players an edge over their opponents. And further down the line, Popplio will gain an additional fairy typing as well, which can be very useful in battles against the notoriously powerful dragon-type Pokémon. Number 6. Kalos Region, Froakie. Froakie is one of the best starters in the entire series, so it's the clear choice out of the 3 Kalos Pokémon. Its usefulness in the battle against the Elite Four cannot be overlooked. Chesnaught and Delphox are both decent choices, but they fall flat in battle. Delphox is promising with its type advantages, but can't compete with Greninja in the long run, and Chesnaught is just a pretty underwhelming Pokémon. So for Generation 6, pick Froakie. Number 5. Unova Region, Oshawott. The best starter in the 5th generation's Unova region is a bit harder to take a definitive stance on. Snivy is unfortunately outpaced by its 2 cohorts, but when it's down to Tepig or Oshawott, the line is a bit more blurred. Overall, Oshawott stands to be the better Pokemon in the long run. Tepig is a great choice and has some powerful moves in its arsenal, but it can fall short when it counts, namely in battles against gym leaders and against the Elite Four. Number 4. Sinnoh Region, Chimchar. The Sinnoh region of Generation 4 has one of the more well-balanced sets of starter Pokemon. Chimchar, Fire-type, Turtwig, Grass-type, and Piplup, Water-type, all have their ups and downs, but Chimchar takes the cake by a slim margin. Turtwig is a nice option and can really be a great attacker that soaks up the damage. Piplup is also good and eventually gains a nice Water and Steel dual typing that brings it a long list of resistances. Both of these Pokemon lack in other areas though, and Chimchar is the safest bet of the 3. Number 3. Hoenn Region, Mudkip. Mudkip is not only the best starter in the Hoenn region, but it's also one of the best designed Pokemon in the series. This generation has the most impressive set of starters, so it's difficult to make the choice. All of them are solid, but Mudkip leads the charges ever so slightly. Mudkip has more advantages in gym battles and can be a real thorn in the side of many opponents, but there isn't a poor choice to be had in this generation, so any of these 3 starters will do great. Number 2. Johto Region, Cyndaquil. Choosing a starter in Generation 2's Johto region is one of the easiest decisions to make. Totodile can hold its own well enough, but Chikorita is a disaster competitively. This leaves Cyndaquil as the clear choice for players aiming to have the best starter. Cyndaquil and subsequently Typhlosion do well against most gyms and is a solid competitor when it comes to taking on the Elite Four. Cyndaquil seems to get the most love out of the three when it comes to fan reception too, so there's really no downside to this starter. Number 1. Kanto region, Bulbasaur. Choosing the best starter from the original generation can be controversial. The clear fan favourite is Charmander as it evolves into Charizard, one of the most recognisable Pokémon in the franchise. While Charmander is well liked, it's not necessarily the best choice when picking a companion. Bulbasaur is the best option when taking on the first generation gym leaders. Bulbasaur can compete pretty consistently throughout the game, and even though Charizard may outpace it in later generations, Bulbasaur is the best choice in the franchise's debut game. And that is the list. What do you think? Let us know down in the comments section below, and while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so that you're notified whenever we've got new stuff for you to watch. I've been Chris, you've been the very best, like no one ever was, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, cheers my dears.